Greetings, everyone. Welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Decode Messages and Miracles Across the Veil. Connect with loved ones and guides with the new HARA method for healing, hope, and guidance. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and CEO of the Shift Network, and I always love being on calls with our featured faculty today. Her name is Suzanne Giesemann, and she's had a remarkable journey from the military into the frontiers of evidential mediumship and spiritual awakening. And it really has inspired so many people around the world that we've done many programs and trainings. And today she really wants to take us deeper into some of the dimensions of how you can create this trusted bridge of communication and understanding that really creates real miracles in your life. So Suzanne is a mystic, medium, and author, and just really an amazing soul. So Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you, Stephen. Just as you were talking, I had the biggest heart opening. I got all choked up and I said, whoa, I can't cry on the air here, but just the sense of connection and joy and doing this work with you, it just got to me there.
Oh, well, that really touches me. Well, we're going to have this time together, and Suzanne's going to bring a lot of magic today. And if you want to go further, we have a brand new course with her that we'll share more about towards the end of the hour called Messages and Miracles Across the Veil. So more to come, and we'll share how you can do that if you want to go further. So, Suzanne, let's begin our journey with a little bit about your journey. I know you've shared it a number of times, but it's always just fascinating. I find that your trajectory from the upper echelons of the military to the role you're in now is quite a powerful journey and inspiration for us. So maybe share a bit about that and maybe some of the specific elements that relate to the themes we want to cover today.
Right. I spent 20 years as a naval officer. I retired with the rank of commander. I was a commanding officer, and I was asked by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the head of the United States Armed Forces, to be his aide de camp. I always joke and say his right-hand man. It really was a man's world at the time that I served, and I really felt that I had to be strong and be very left-brained, and that was really how I was. I've learned recently that how important it is to balance the energy, masculine and feminine, and left brain and right brain. But during my whole military career, I didn't know anything about a greater reality or spirituality or balancing energy, any of that. Being present on 9/11 in the last aircraft in US airspace and then coming back to our burning office building, the Pentagon, really started me down the spiritual path, Stephen, but I was just looking for answers. I didn't find them, so I set that aside and went back to my rigid way of thinking and being until my stepdaughter, Susan, a sergeant in the Marine Corps, was struck by lightning and killed, along with her 6-month unborn baby. Then I could no longer set the questioning aside. But the biggest turning point for me was seeing Susan's body in the coffin right before her funeral and having the absolute knowing that there's more to this life than these bodies. That was what propelled my journey, and it has not slowed down. It's just still going full speed ahead. But because of my background, I require evidence when I connect with those in the spirit world, when I connect with my stepdaughter, Susan, who has passed, because it was that moment of seeing her body that led me to the new mission of let me connect with you, Susan. And that opened up way more than I ever expected.
Mm. Well, it is a blessing that all those years of left brain rigor can be applied to what has often been a kind of a fuzzier world in terms of communication with spirits on the other side. And it really heightens the power of what comes through once you know that it's true. I've had that experience myself in doing a session with you, and it just, even as much as I've done, it just, when you get those full body recognitions, it's just like, whoa, it's something powerful shifts.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about how you've evolved your understanding of how do you create that evidential bridge and know that the messages are real and that the communication can really become bidirectional.
Well, my first contact with Susan came through an evidence-based medium. And once I was introduced to the fact that there are different kinds of mediumship, and the most healing for those who are skeptical is this evidential mediumship, where the medium brings through verifiable facts about those across the veil that you couldn't possibly know, and messages. The evidence backs up the messages. So I learned to be an evidence-based medium, and now I apply that to pretty much all of my contacts across the veil. To this day, I play what I call the sign game with any being who shows up, even in my own meditations. Hey, that's fun. That's helpful. I know that that's you, but how are you going to prove it? Let's just play this game. And I get the signs and I get the validations. They tell me things I couldn't know, and it fuels my belief. It fuels my trust. And so why not play that game?
Do you want to give an example or two of things that were just like really surprising or out of left field that just like were like super confirming?
Well, that's one of the ways we know that it's coming from spirit, Stephen, is because it's surprising and out of left field. My funniest example was one day I was communicating with one of my spirit guides, and I play this game where I hold my hand out. Even though I'm meditating, I literally hold out my hand and I say, put something in my hand that's meaningful. Somebody may have heard me tell this story before, but it was the one that really got my attention the most. I saw in my mind's eye a roll of toilet paper, which made me laugh at the time, but also question, okay, why is that meaningful? That's what you do. You ask the question, pull the thread. And the answer came back and it said, this is representative of all of you. The form cannot be there without the core. And when you learn to go to the core, which appears empty, but gives structure to the form, now you've found that which is the same in everyone. So there was this deep spiritual teaching in this, what I felt was a very silly sign from across the veil that led to really great insights. So it's a fun game to play, and I play it to this day.
One of the things that I noticed in the session we did with you is the fidelity to just sharing whatever's coming through is really important because of you never know when it seems like silly or weird or out of left field if it's going to be actually important.
Oh,
And
yes.
so share a little bit more about why that just trusting what arises is so important.
It's vitally important because if we're constantly questioning and not trusting, like I was in the beginning, that sets up an energy of doubt, and it doesn't show to the spirit world, I know that you're here. So just the other day, I did a reading and I knew the woman had a son across the veil. And I usually expect the spirits to come in a certain way. But this young man came in swinging on a vine like Tarzan. And I just started laughing. It was the very first thing that happened in the reading. I didn't feel him. I just saw Tarzan swinging on a vine. In the past, I might have not trusted that, not said it, but I would have missed a beautiful piece of evidence. The young man's mother immediately knew why he was showing that to me. It was very meaningful, and we were off and running.
That's funny. Well, so you've obviously had many years of practice and training and sessions. When somebody doesn't have that, how do you gain some of the confidence that the impressions or things that you're started coming through start to feel like real communication? So how does kind of the average everyday person start to build some of that confidence?
I know that I have gotten to this point because of my left brain. I like processes. I like systems that are replicable. As many of those who have studied with me and in many of my shift network classes in the past know, I like acronyms. That's a big thing in the military. Mnemonic devices with letters that make a word that help you remember a process. So my Bless Me method is one of the most powerful processes I've taught along the way, where that takes us from normal waking consciousness to a deep connection. It's a process. It's a system. When you use that system over and over, you come to trust that spirit's going to be here when you get to the end stage. But all along the way, I've recognized that most students of mediumship, myself included, lack that trust, don't know how to really know it's not our imagination. And Stephen, in just the past 2 months, Spirit has really pulled out all the stops for me in an actually literally painful way, with signs in my physical body to lead me to a missing key that has led to a new process that I want to share today, that I'm going to be sharing in that class you talked about. that adds on to the Bless Me method and makes an even more powerful system. But the beauty in it is it helps us to trust. It helps us to know what's our imagination and what isn't. It's a game changer, really.
Well, you piqued our curiosity, so maybe you just want to start with the acronym and then what led you to develop that and how do we benefit from it?
Okay, the acronym is the process is called the HARA method, HARA. But I need to backtrack then and show you how spirit gave me signs, how playing the sign game that I just talked about earlier led to this discovery of what was already here. So backtrack, I know it was a year ago, a year ago, November 2024. I was in meditation, and a friend had given me a book by William James because she knew that William James, the philosopher, was one of the members that make up my team of guides, Sanaya. And in reading his book, I was thinking a lot about him, so I wasn't surprised when he dropped in on my meditation. And always putting anybody who visits to the test, I said, Professor James, put something in my hand. And he showed me an ancient old-time key and the keyhole. You can picture those old-timey keyholes, right? And I asked him, all right, what's that all about? But in this case, he didn't tell me the meaning. He said, you will see. And I love that because when you learn to flow, you don't get stuck in, it has to play out this way every time. So I said, all right. And the very same day, I was snagged by a file in my documents called The Key, in my file of spiritual documents. I save everything in folders, and this one was The Key. I couldn't remember what it was, but it was something I'd had for a while. And I reviewed the document just because it caught my attention. And it mentioned a book by an author I'd never heard of. It was an article. So following the thread, I got this book, and it was called The HARA. So I feel I'm supposed to read this book. I order it immediately on Amazon, start reading it on my Kindle reader, turn the page, swipe through, and there is the keyhole. Exactly like William James had shown me in a book called The Key. You see how these little pieces are starting to fit together.
That's amazing.
I start reading immediately after this sign. I got the goosebumps. I started reading about the HARA. And what the HARA is many people will recognize from, well, how about Japanese culture? You remember have you heard of harakiri?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's how the Japanese save their honor by putting a sword in the hara, the belly, the very core of themselves. Well, the hara is, according to Eastern philosophy, the core of us, a seat of awareness of us, located about 2 inches below the navel. And as I learned in this book, when you put your focus there, you're grounded and you're centered. So I applied this immediately in my mediumship a year ago. And Stephen, the next reading I did was off the charts. One of the challenges I have in a reading is correctly discerning names. I got one name after another that applied to my sitter, and I thought, wow, that's pretty awesome. I used the focus on the hara again in my next reading. It was pretty good. But after that, I forgot about it because it wasn't part of my system. I let it go. Well, about 2 months ago, I started developing backache and stomach issues. But I know to ask spirit when there's a challenge. So I tuned in, and I'm going to make this short. They brought my attention back to the hara. All of my physical issues were right there where the hara is. See, I've trained myself to notice connections. And my guide said, we will teach you more about this. Let's learn together. So I'll get to the quick of it. What I learned is that in the West, we have a focus on the 7 chakras. I know you know the chakras because so many Shift Network teachers show the importance of it. I am always teaching my students to clear your chakras if you want a good flow of energy. There are 7 energy centers. But in Eastern traditions, they talk about the three energy centers called the Dantians. Are you familiar with those, Stephen?
Yeah, I've done some martial arts, and the hara
Yeah.
is always the where you center to really maximize the the groundedness of whatever you're doing in the martial art.
Exactly. We have the lower Dantian, which is the hara, the middle Dantian, which relates to the heart, and the upper Dantian, which relates to the head. And Spirit showed me that all of my focus had been on the head and the heart. My documentary, Wolf's Message, is all about getting out of the head and into the heart, balancing the two. But I'd completely forgotten to focus on the hara. Many teachers of any spiritual connection will tell you how important it is to be grounded. And I had been taught to imagine roots going out the soles of my feet into the earth to get grounded. But I didn't understand that true grounding begins in the hara. One Spirit showed me that the three work together. They're like the engines of our spiritual power, and they work in conjunction with the chakras. It's not either or. So they showed me a method of bringing the three centers of soul awareness into alignment, combining it with the seven chakras. And this is the game changer I'm talking about, because that anchoring in of awareness in the hara, while giving equal importance to the heart and the head, creates a circuit of energy that's super powerful. It allows you to truly anchor in, to land the evidence you're getting from Spirit, to trust it. I mean, physically, I immediately noticed a difference in my meditation. For 15 years, when Spirit steps in, I've been going like this, swaying. I move back and forth. I thought that was a good thing. I didn't realize it's because I wasn't anchored. All the information was staying in the heart and the head. The very first time I used the HARA method, Spirit stepped in and I noticed, oh my God, I'm not wobbling. And the connection was rock solid. I could tell the connection was there. And the difference, Stephen, is between wondering and knowing. This is what this HARA method and bringing the HARA in with equal importance to the heart and the head has brought to my practice and allowed me to put into a system now with a great acronym that will help other people know it's not my imagination and trust the connection and get a more clear connection. I mean, how exciting is that?
It's very exciting. It's also great to just see reveal how you're evolving your own understanding of how to do this work. And I mean, it reminds me, I had Aikido senseis who were so like there was one woman who was like so powerful that she, with her Hara center, she could actually tell you exactly what you were doing behind her because she could just like her energetic field would just extend into the floor and out and around her, and she give you very specific. No, she's like move your hand up further and do this, just completely behind. And it's very powerful. So it's like it's an interesting fusion of the kind of the more Eastern martial kind of integral development and the mediumship work.
But
So that's really cool. So
if I
let's
may,
talk about go ahead.
this is super important. And also another point that I really need to make in that so many believe that to connect with Spirit, we go to the heart, to the head, and up to Spirit. But once we realize that these are all seats of awareness, seats of the soul, and the hara is the balance point, the actual center of soul embodiment, we now can stay right here within, solidly within, and not let our energy dissipate. That's very much of what makes this so powerful. We're not relying on going outside of ourselves. We realize, like in that analogy with the toilet paper roll, the very core of us is the core of all that is. We all share this one center beyond space and time. And by focusing on literally our physical center and our soul center in the hara, equally important with the heart and the head, we have strengthened that connection and we keep it all right here.
And it's interesting that you said earlier that you're getting names more clearly, that it's like some of the anchoring details when you get down in the lower Hara center, then it's like then you have more specificity and the physicality perhaps too.
Yeah,
So that's
I've had two months to practice the process now, so that it's really integrated into my awareness now. I'm definitely getting names more clearly, not perfected yet. Oh, there we go. Spirit just said you'll never achieve perfection as long as we're in the body, which is fine. But I'm just thrilled with going to the next level and being able to take people
Hmm.
to the next level once they understand why that's happening.
Hmm. So I don't think so. It would be great to do the actual acronym and then
Right.
give some instructions about how people can start to apply that acronym for themselves too.
Absolutely. So it's just beautiful that Spirit's shown me how we can focus on the Hara by using the actual name for that center of soul awareness, where the first H, with the intention of anchoring in our presence and coming into alignment with all three centers, the first H stands for hold awareness in the Hara. And I would just put my hands right below the navel, cross the hands below the navel. We can run through this practice after I go through it if you like, but hold the awareness there. The A stands for anchor in awareness of the solid base. We ignore our legs so often. We think that these upper centers are so important, but I asked Spirit, what's important about the legs? They said they're the conduit of energy that's coming up from the earth, the physical world, but also our entire energy field, the lower half of us, holds ancestral memories, holds patterns that are important to the wholeness of us. So we anchor in awareness. I am fully present, not just the upper half of me. Then we radiate awareness, energy, upward. And we visualize that moving through the heart center and through the head center. And that's the R. And then the second A is align all three centers equally. And you just do that with your thought. But I would love to walk everybody through a
Let's
very
do it.
quick HARA process. It doesn't take long at all.
Let's go ahead and do it.
But we begin with the intention of realizing that we are fully embodied soul here and now, and that by doing the HARA practice, we are becoming present as that soul, ready to connect with spirit. So, with that intention, just close your eyes for a moment and breathe in very slowly through the nose to the count of 4. In, 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 in. Now out 8 through the mouth. Out, 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 relaxing more fully relaxed. Now just keep breathing slowly and gently, but see how much more relaxed you feel now after that beautiful breath. And now, knowing that you are awareness itself and that awareness can move, it is not rooted just behind the eyes or in any one place. You are the actual awareness of spirit as a soul. Hold awareness in the belly area, the area of the Hara. Just move and be in this area. And you can think to yourself a beautiful affirmation such as, I am soul awareness seated here in the Hara. And now anchor your solid base within your energy field. Feel this toroidal shape, a donut shaped field of energy around your entire body, but focus on everything from the Hara down, drawing in energy from the earth, solidly anchoring you here present. And you can say an affirmation such as, here I am present, here I am stable and coherent. And now raise your consciousness upward. Feel the energy flowing from your feet, from below in the earth, and coming up through the legs, through the Hara, raising up through the heart, raising upward, connecting to you to the head, and outward, connecting you to the heavens. And you could say an affirmation such as, the energy is flowing clearly up and through me, and back down and through me, fully balanced, all centers equal. And now complete this circuit by aligning all three. Here I am in the HARA, present and stable. Here I am as a soul in the heart, aware of being the presence of love, feeling all emotions. Here I am as soul awareness in the head, intuitive, open, seeing, and with all three centers of soul awareness aligned now. Here I am, and I know what is coming through me. Taking a nice deep breath. Feel how solidly present you are. Know that spirit is here throughout your body. You are fully embodied as a soul. All that you need is here in each of these centers of awareness. Just taking a breath of gratitude and come fully back to waking awareness.
Thank you. That's great.
It's cool,
So
huh?
once we have that alignment and that centering, what would be the next step of starting to build that bridge of communication from there?
Well, the next step is to combine it with my Bless Me practice, which is just basic teaching, which is beyond this hour-long practice here, but you could just jump straight into a connection with spirit if you already know that spirit is here, you know how to make that shift, but it all has to do with, I'll run through the acronym very quickly, breathing slowly, which we already did, lifting your vibration, and you can do that by now acknowledging all of the 7 chakras, which are the distribution points of this energy, which each plays a role in what you experience when you connect with spirit. You lift your vibration and then expand your awareness so that you realize, yes, my center of awareness is here, but it is also in all that is. And you surrender your identity as only human and shift. This is the BLESS, shift to full soul awareness. And then M is merge with any higher being who's ready to communicate with you. That's how I invite in, my guide Sanaya or my stepdaughter Susan or other people's loved ones or whoever has a message for me today. I ask them to step in now and merge with me. And then the final E is experience whatever unfolds. So you see how the HARA method really gets you solid, anchored, and present. And then the Bless Me method opens you up and off you go.
And it seems like, my guess is because when you get that much more grounded in your own self, then the merging is also, it's a little perhaps like easier to do because you have your own sense of center and you're not going to just get absorbed into another being.
Yes, and also when you're finished, you're still grounded. You're not all spacey and floating around. You're not drained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a total win.
Great. Well, this is really cool. Do you want to talk about other ways? So there's like the kind of intuitive connection that opens when you sort of ground your field and open it in this way. Do you want to talk at all about some of the other ways that spirit is speaking through dreams and
Oh, yes. Oh,
other signals and signs? Because I think that also adds to the magic when you're asking for these specific forms of confirmation too.
well, yes, it's beautiful because in getting to the HARA method, this game-changing new way of anchoring our connection with spirit, trusting it, knowing it's not our imagination, I had to follow the signs. I had to notice the synchronicities. I noticed the miracles along the way. And let me just give you an example of that. So here I am going through a lot of challenges with my back to the point where I ended up in an emergency room, Stephen, right near where you are in Novato, California, the very day after I was in Novato. And we had to get on the road in my bus to go to do another documentary screening in Reno, Nevada. Well, we get on the road. I'm flat on my back in the bus because I'm in great pain. My husband's going down the highway just outside Sacramento, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, Suzanne, the engine has no power." And our whole bus broke down right outside Sacramento. And I'm thinking, I have to get to Reno. We may have to leave the bus here. But knowing how spirit works, I know that Everything carries meaning for us. Everything has a message. It was a miracle. I see it as a miracle that the bus broke down right near a place that could fix our very unique engine. This could have happened anywhere. But the fact that the Dantians are the soul's engine, and here our engine breaks down, and my husband literally said our engine has no power. For my whole lifetime, I'd been giving no power to this main engine, the HARA, Stephen. And where is the HARA located? Right in near the sacral chakra, right? And we break down in Sacramento. See the root? Sacred, Sacramento, sacral. I see these connections all the time. Now, somebody new to this may be saying, well, she's just giving meaning to things. That's what we do. That's how spirit works with us when you start pulling the threads. And so the miracles unfolded that there was a campground right there that we could limp into. The next day we show up and the garage guy says, sure, I can work on your bus. We'll take people off another job and get on it right away. That doesn't happen. That was a spirit thing. And we went on to do an event in Reno. I had to stand the whole time the film was showing. I physically could not sit because of the pain. But what is Reno? What is the root of Reno? Renewed, renovation. This whole insight about the HARA was all percolating, coming to awareness. And I just connected all the dots. And it's just been unfolding until this is my very first day of being pain-free, as the final insight came this very morning from my stepdaughter as the result of 2 very powerful dreams with her in the last 2 days, showing me unhealed trauma, showing how it all connects, and showing me how to clear it. It's phenomenal. But if I didn't have any of these clues, well, let me just tell you, I just called and canceled an appointment with a neurosurgeon at the end of the month because I know I didn't need surgery. I needed to get at the root of all of this, and the dreams and the signs and the methods and working with spirit and pulling the thread and seeking the meaning healed me. See how powerful this is? If people knew that our loved ones across the veil will work with us, they'll come in dreams, they'll come in signs. It's not silly to give meanings to things. If they lead to healing, we would all be doing this moment by moment. And that's what I want to share with people.
Yeah, that's really inspiring and amazing, the timing just today that you're ready to teach this right as you're completing the last lesson of it. I love your perspective of just really opening to the interpreted possibilities, not trying to second guess like, well, is it a sign that we broke down in Sacramento or not? It's like it's a more of a spirit of what if.
That's it.
Like what if, and then it's like, and then if that insight leads to a deeper recognition and healing, how beautiful. So you're just kind of seeing life as a canvas on which spirit can communicate.
It's more like a tap. It is that, but I like to see it like a tapestry where all these threads are interconnected. And I'll tell you, Stephen, I do a weekly podcast, and once a month I do live Q&As, and then my guide Sanaya answer. And just yesterday, I did one of those live Q&As, and I used the HARA method privately beforehand to get grounded, because it's fully integrated now into my way of working. And the channeling and the answers were so much higher. People are commenting in the comments that they noticed it too. So like you said, we're always all evolving. There's never an end to the growth. And that's what I find so exciting. But we have to work with spirit.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask about, so there's sort of like general messages from spirit, and getting more specific, if you have like a specific loved one that you're wanting to heal a relationship with or co-create with, like how do you sort of invoke those signs and signals or potential across the veil communication with a specific soul?
Invoking is a great word. It's bringing it on, right? And that begins with believing that your loved ones are here, that you have guides, that you are part of something greater. And that brings about the trust to at least ask for that assistance. So I've gone to bed recently saying, please give me more insights into these physical challenges. What am I missing? What am I not seeing? And the dreams and the signs have brought through layers that had to be cleared, layers. And then you ask Spirit, show me what needs to be healed, or show me what my next step is if it's not a healing journey you're on, or how do I connect with you more clearly? You invoke this by asking and trusting. You can ask before you go to bed, you can ask in meditation, but you put it out there as a very clear request, not just, I hope this will happen.
And I like the layered approach too, because I think a lot of times when people talk about or think about miracles, it's like they want to get rid of something. Like, oh, I need a miracle to get rid of my back pain. But you're saying no. It's like, show me what's the next layer I need to. So you're seeing it as a curriculum and a gift of a curriculum rather than just like something bad to sort of hope will go away.
Oh, it's astounding when we believe that everything has just one answer. It's because of that very web, because of all the connections, how we're connected to other people and events in our lives. You don't just pull one string. By pulling one string, it reveals another one. So the journey is ongoing, and it may seem tiresome, but when we see the miracles and work with signs, it's also fun and fascinating.
For those who are still don't have quite as much experience and are still building their confidence and trust in this, like how do you then ask for, if you think there was a sign, but you're still a little skeptical whether it was actually a sign from a loved one or at the other side, how do you sort of get more confirmation around whether that was actually a communication or something to validate?
Well, this is a great question because it takes us right back to the HARA. Until I recognized how important the HARA is, I would say trust it in your heart. But don't we all know the expression, how does it feel in your gut? Yeah. You got it, right? So when you actually tune into the HARA as you ask a question, you can feel, does it land with solidness? Your heart already knows if it's a sign. Like those who connect with a loved one who has passed. It doesn't matter if somebody says, oh, you're silly to believe that butterfly was a sign. If that was an actual sign from a loved one, whatever unusual thing that butterfly did, you know it in your heart. But now when you move that question, was this real, down to the HARA, there's a solidity there. As a longtime boater, when you put the anchor in, you can tell if the anchor has taken or if it hasn't grabbed in. And the same thing here. Am I dragging anchor or do I have it solidly set? When that knowing is present, that's all you need. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says.
I want to ask you next about just so there's once you have this trusted bidirectional communication, there's signs and signals, there's a kind of reassurance, there's healing. And the next level is kind of co-creating. So you're really sort of designing your life in this collaboration with souls across the veil and with spirit. I'm sure just a little bit about how you approach that now, having done a lot of this work.
Everything is a co-creation because we are spirit incarnated, co-creating our lives. So once you realize that we have the sovereignty to make free will choices, but life unfolds so much more beautifully when we realize we don't have to do anything alone. And in fact, we don't. We have much less control than we think. So surrendering, letting go, and listening is a real key to that. I love how you called it bidirectional communication. My stepdaughter, Susan, has really been teaching me the last few days, literally having conversations that I write down as they go. Phenomenal teaching. And she's been saying, let go and listen moment by moment. And that's what we do. We co-create this what we desire. We manifest what we desire in our lives by letting go, listening, and realizing that we can have this ongoing conversation, not just in meditation, but moment by moment with spirit.
We could talk now about the upcoming course, which is a really amazing opportunity to get this transmission from you of like what you've learned over the years and how to sort of really ground the practices with the HARA, with the Bless Me, to make this communication bi-directional and to really have a way of being that is a co-creation with spirit and that is in communion with other souls. So Suzanne has agreed to teach this brand new program, and it's basing a lot around the HARA method. So it's called Messages and Miracles Across the Veil. Decode signs and deepen your connection with loved ones and guides with the HARA method. You can find it at the URL messagesmiraclesfromspirit.com, messagesmiraclesfromspirit.com. It's a 7-week program. And Suzanne, I'd love for you to share some of your intentions of what people come away with and what makes this particular course unique.
Well, I'm excited because, as I mentioned earlier, Stephen, I learned about the HARA a year ago, and I thought, oh, that's nice. It's good to focus there. Anybody that's done martial arts knows you're stronger when you put your focus there. But then I forgot about it. And we all know that we learn by repetition and by doing and by practice. So when you all offered me the opportunity to teach a course about signs and synchronicities, I thought, great, that is how we really develop a connection with spirit, how we work it into our day-to-day way of being. But then this whole HARA awareness came along. I've made it part of my practice. I've truly integrated it. And I saw what a gift the timing of this course is, because I said, this is going to give people a chance over 7 modules to truly make it part of themselves as well. I created a whole workshop of my own, the Forgotten Center, that teaches everything I just shared in 1 hour, but really spread out. But that's just one day. So how are people going to make that into a lifetime of practice? How are they going to really integrate it into their awareness? By going through all of these steps and practices and guided meditations with me week after week and putting it into practice. And that's going to make it a habit and a way of life. So I love that this is an opportunity for us to take this very simple acronym that people could say, that's nice, use it once and forget it, but show throughout each of the modules how we integrated into a course that was already designed by Spirit about communicating and using their signs and synchronicities, focusing on the miracles. But now let's deepen it by adding in this Forgotten Center.
Fantastic. So module 1 is called Open the Sacred Channel so you can awaken to Spirit's presence.
Well, we're going to talk right away about who we are. It's the basic reminder that why is this communication possible? Because we are souls here in human bodies, and realize that we can be fully embodied and get all the information and have all the connection we need without going beyond ourselves. So we'll talk right away about discerning imagination from what is really a message from across the veil. And we'll do a guided meditation, of course, to invoke a loved one or a guide right off the bat using the HARA method so people experience that presence and see how it feels to be truly grounded.
Module 2 is called Heal Through the Veil to Let Love Transform Grief.
Grief really can get in the way of a connection, just as I certainly discovered physical pain can get in the way. And so when we realize that the more we come to trust our connection with Spirit, that our loved ones are right here through communicating with them actively, that transmutes the grief. It's still present, but it is now infused with the awareness that I have a new way of moving forward with my loved one. So we're going to embrace that grief is part of the journey, but doesn't necessarily have to stand in the way of our connection. So we'll learn to call on Spirit for comfort and connection instead of feeling that we have to go through this alone. It's just a very beautifully comforting module. And we're going to, again, do another guided meditation to, ask Spirit to reveal what we need to heal our grief. So we're going to make that connection ourselves right away.
Module 3, tune your soul senses to trust the clairs and your inner knowing.
I love that phrase, inner knowing, because we can see through our mind's eye, the upper dantian. We can feel through the heart, right? The middle dantian. But when you bring in the HARA, now you know. So we have clairaudience, hearing, clairvoyance, seeing. These are all in the upper areas of consciousness. We have clairsentience, which is clear feeling. but claircognizance brings all of them together. And that is the greatest stage of mediumship. I love when I have mediums who say, and I know this is what your loved one is sharing with me. That's the goal, to be that confident that it's not, well, I think they're saying this, or I see this, or I hear this. It's, I see this, I hear this, and I know that what they're sharing is that. So we're going to show people how to get to that knowing while appreciating how all of the clairs, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, etc., work together. So it's just a beautiful integration of our soul senses.
Fantastic. So then module 4 goes into initiate a two-way dialogue to co-create with spirit.
Two-way dialogue is so important. Even for those who are professional mediums, we often can say, I see this or I hear that. But I like to show people that we need to really acknowledge this is a two-way real-time conversation that we can have with guides and loved ones across the veil. So instead of I see this, I hear, it's, hey, your loved one is showing me this. This is what your loved one is saying because it's actually happening now. That subtle difference makes a difference when we connect ourselves. And we don't just tune into random messages. We reach out to our guides and our loved ones and say, I know you are a being just like I am. What do you have to share with me? And you get in the habit of literally talking to them like they're the best friends that they truly are. So we're really going to focus on that. And of course, you'll have opportunities in this module, like every one of them, for actually experiencing that.
Module 5, embrace spirit as an ally to live with guidance, purpose, and presence.
We're going to really focus in that module on the signs, the way they work with us, just like I talked about that method of put something in my hand, how to truly recognize the signs, how to pull the threads on the signs, and use spirit's help in very practical ways, not just in meditation, but for solving any challenges that you have, realizing you don't have to do everything alone. So you can see that this is very practical. It's not just about mediumship. This is about recognizing that we are multidimensional beings and really bringing that awareness into a way of being that enhances every moment of our lives.
Module 6, cultivate ongoing communion with departed loved ones to evolve your relationships with those beyond the veil.
Oh my goodness. Many people go to a medium because they feel that's the only way that they can say what they needed to say or take care of unfinished business. But once you realize that any connection with a loved one is possible, especially if it has the potential to bring healing and comfort, we can have that ourselves personally. That's when this becomes so powerful for us. So we're going to talk in that module about what is it we need to heal? How can we use spirit's presence to heal that? How will they give us signs? How will those miracles of healing come about just through our own personal connection with spirit?
And finally, module 7, become the bridge to embody the awakened way and live as a receiver and transmitter of love.
Once again, you can see how the HARA awareness comes back into this, because the heart is the bridge emotionally, but and the head is the bridge to insights and intuition, but the HARA is the bridge to your soul's very presence in this body. So you realize that you are connected on all levels to spirit. And how does that translate into your life to truly embody the soul here and now without thinking you have to go outside the body for healing, for connection, for growth, for learning? And again, throughout every module of this course, we're going to have the experience of ourselves as fully embodied souls. I know that participants will actually feel that embodiment, will start to notice miracles in their lives. Just the very energy that's present when I teach helps people embody more of that, because I'm doing that. It's being radiated from my guides, and miracles happen in many ways.
Mm. Well, what a beautiful offering. And I love how you are always sharing that you're growing edge and making your own awakening and transformation a key part of the curriculum too. That's it's wonderful modeling for everybody. And Messages Miracles from Spirit is the URL. In addition to the 7 90-minute live sessions that Suzanne has just described, you're going to have recordings of every session, both video and audio. There's word-for-word transcripts for every module and bonuses. There's weekly exercises to practice at home. There's a small community group to support you and deepen your experience. And it's really the communities really thrive around Suzanne's work. So you get real friends and allies across the globe. There's small group time to connect with other participants, and Suzanne has been very generous with some extra bonuses that are each designed to enhance your journey. There's a audio meditation called Awareness Itself, a channeling session with Suzanne and Sanaya. You mentioned Sanaya earlier, but maybe share a little bit more context about your guides, your guiding team, and then what that how that flows into that bonus.
Well, Sanaya first made themselves known to me, boy, I believe it was my birthday, 2010, and they're a collective consciousness. As I mentioned, William James is one of them. Emmanuel Swedenborg makes up the group. There is no doubt in my mind that Jesus is part of that group, Archangel Michael. We all have guides at the higher levels. But anytime I work, anytime I meditate, anytime I work as a medium, anytime I channel, I ask them to merge with me, just like in the Bless Me method. They're always present. They're always sending their healing energy. We have had healing miracles that I've documented with testimonials from people because it is truly a higher energy that the guides want us to receive. They want us to receive that gift of healing and transformation and transmuting our own challenges into growth. So I'll be bringing Sanaya into the course, and every module, when I do a guided meditation, I guarantee you they're going to take over. My voice will change just a little, and I'll be channeling very spontaneously. I have no idea what they're going to say, but that's part of the journey of trust.
Yeah, I love that. The second bonus is called the Monthly Connection. This is a webinar with Suzanne. It's a video teaching. You want to share more about that video teaching?
Because this is an ongoing connection that we have with spirit, the teaching never ends. For 7 years now, I've been doing monthly live webinars sharing the latest teaching from spirit that applies to all of us. And so I've taken one of those webinars with teaching that never gets old, and we're just offering that to everybody. 2 hours of really great teaching and evidential stories of connection across the veil.
That's a great extra bonus. And then there's one final bonus that is your special bonus that you get if you sign up at midnight tonight Pacific time. And this gives you a little extra encouragement to tune in now and get your own inner sense. And if you are called to move forward, then you're going to get a special bonus for doing so today. It's called Harmony Restored, a guided healing meditation with Suzanne. So it's an audio meditation. You want to share more about Harmony Restored, Suzanne?
Once again, this was the result of spontaneous channeling by my guides. Didn't have any plan to do it, and out came the words from spirit, and people were literally healed by it. I've listened to my own meditation and found myself crying as I released things. So it's really kind of wild to be healed by your own meditation, but that's because it's coming from a higher place. So I love being able to share that with everybody and give them the opportunity to discover parts of themselves that they didn't realize needed healing and release.
That's a fascinating confirmation that it is coming from a higher place, that you yourself are so moved by it. So what a beautiful offering. So that's the special bonus folks get if you sign up today, Harmony Restored. So it's going to be a beautiful program. I am sure Suzanne is always beloved by her students, and it really shares so much that's very practical and powerful and transformational. So we've kept the investment very accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, so you can save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start December 4th and run Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the practices, the transcripts, and the community as well. So we've listed many different testimonials on the page from both eminent scholars, teachers, as well as students. Suzanne is really beloved by all, so you are in good hands and you will get really great value from what she shares and teaches. So again, it's all at messagesmiraclesfromspirit.com, messagesmiraclesfromspirit.com, and you'll get that special bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight of Harmony Restored. So Suzanne, we're nearing the end of our time. Anything that's still on your heart you haven't shared, or specifically speaking to people who are considering doing this new course with you?
It's simply that this really can become a way of life. It does become wondrous when we notice the signs and when we ask for the signs. And I mentioned at the beginning, Stephen, that I'm on this journey because my stepdaughter Susan passed. And she came to me this morning with the most beautiful message after a dream of attending her funeral. And she said, literally, I've got your back, which just, with the back being the whole focus for me recently, it was very meaningful, led to another conversation that was healing. But it's because of Susan that I learned to look for signs from the universe. And I've had many conversations with the highest possible connection I could make. We could call that source, like Neil Donald Walsh has his conversations with God. And I choose to call that source joy with a capital J, conversations with joy. And one day I was out ready to start a whole weekend of working with other mediums to connect across the veil. And we were at a hotel and I went into the gift shop. I just felt drawn to go in there. And it's Susan who told me that we're all joy, Suzanne. We're all joy in expression, God, source, expressing as you and me in bodies. And with that awareness, I'm looking around the gift shop and I look down and there is a handbag. And I looked at the label and I had to buy it because here it is. I took the label off and I framed it. It was so significant. The brand name is Joy over the name Susan. Joy Susan. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like Susan is joy, and Suzanne is joy, and Stephen is joy, and all of you listening are joy in expression. So put your own name under there. So I got the goosebumps again. This is how the universe sends you signs. You're on the right path. Keep paying attention. Keep learning. We will show you in the most wondrous, miraculous ways. And it brings such joy as we notice the signs and the miracles.
Well, what a great way to close. Another miraculous sign and a deep reminder of who we truly are. So, Suzanne, thank you for the blessing of sharing your journey so openly and being so willing to go from the left brain military persona into this very joyful mystic phase of your career and really help us with all the practices you've learned to really make this a co-creative dance with joy.
It's an honor.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you all for joining, and we look forward to seeing many of you in the upcoming program with Suzanne. And again, you can find all the details at messagesmiraclesfromspirit.com, and you'll get that special Harmony Restored bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much.